Hey guys, welcome to TrainCheck YouTube channel. If you are a new subscriber, you're welcome to TrainCheck YouTube channel. But if you are a returning subscriber, you're welcome back. Yeah. So in the previous video, we built a C# console application, a to-do list C# console application, where we make use of list as our in memory and also make use of everything we've learned so far on this full C# tutorial course. So in this video, we will be talking about file IO, file input output. So we'll be reading and writing to a JSON file. So file input output, that's what we'll be looking at in this video, where we'll be reading and writing to a JSON file. So in our previous video, we use list as our in memory. So if you come to this method, if you've not watched this video, you can kindly just go back to the playlist. You'll see the video there, so you can go through it and see what we've done so far. So yeah, so in this video, so we in the previous video we used list as our in memory. So if you check here, you see list as our database. So we are making use of list as our in memory database. So the downside of this is once we stop the application or once we close the application, all the data we've saved is gone. All the data we've saved inside the list is gone, because list is just an in memory. It only holds data while the application is running. Once the application is down, or once we stop the application or close the project, all the data are gone. So we want to be making use of, we want to, in this video, I want to make use of JSON. So we'll be writing to JSON and reading to JSON, writing to JSON and reading from JSON. So if we make use of JSON as our database, even though we stop the application or close the project, our data will still be intact. We won't lose the data, unlike list that it only holds data while the application is running. Yeah, so I won't be making use of this list again as our in memory, as our DB. I'll be making use of JSON. So we'll be writing to JSON. We'll be adding the to our to-dos to JSON and also reading, getting back our to-dos from JSON. So let's get started. So if you want to write and read to JSON, what do I need to do? Firstly, I need to create the JSON file we want to write to and want to read from. So JSON file. So if you want to create the JSON file, just click on this project folder, and then you click on add. Once you click on add, come to new items, and then you can search. You can search this search bar. Just type JSON basically. So once you type JSON, you see JSON file. You can see JSON file here. So just click on the JSON file and then name it. You can name it to do list. Basically, you can give it any name. You can give it any name, but I'll be naming it to do list. So I'll be naming the JSON file to do list. Or basically, you can give it any name. It's not necessary you name it to do list. Yeah, so this is our JSON file now, where we'll be writing to and we'll be reading from. Basically, the JSON file is still empty, right? So what are the other things I need to do? For us to be able to write to JSON and read from JSON, we need to create a method. We need to create a method that will help us write into it and also read from it. So basically, for us to create a method, we can just come down here and create another class. Obviously, I can actually use this method class where I have all these to-do list method, but separation of concern, this method is like I encapsulated every OOP. I want to make sure we follow the OOP principle. In this method, I encapsulated every method that belongs to what? That belongs to do. That belongs to our viewing, adding, every other thing, getting it to do. You understand? So I encapsulated them together. So since this method is particular to writing to JSON and reading from JSON, it's not how would I put it? It's not really related to all this view, add, everything, all the to-do method, but obviously it's still helping us, right? But let me just separate it. Separation of concern. Let me just separate it. So obviously I'll just click on JSON. I'll say JSON helper. So since the method is basically helping us write and read to JSON, so I'll just name it JSON helper. So we know, okay, this method inside this space is for our JSON, writing to our JSON and read from our JSON, not viewing of our to-do list or every other thing like that. So separation of concern, easy debug, easy management. To be easy for us to debug and it will be easy for us to manage. So JSON helper. So I'll name it JSON helper. So obviously you can leave it internal since we are making use of it inside this assembly, but you can just change it to public. So I'll also make it a static list for us to be able to call it inside our program class or inside wherever we want to use it. So what are the things I need to do now? Firstly, I will now create our write to JSON method. So I will say our write to JSON method basically is not, it won't return anything. So I will say it will be a void method, yeah, and then I will name it write to JSON. I'll name it write to JSON since it is. So what this method will be helping us, what this method will be doing for us is it will be writing to this JSON file. To be writing the any to-do list we want to add, it will collect it and pass it and write it inside this JSON file. So what are the parameters this method needs to accept? So the parameter this method needs to accept is I will obviously make this we would like to make this method, method and this class a generic method. I would like to make it a generic method because obviously I don't want it to be limited. Even if we just want to say, okay, we want it to be limited to let's say just our to-do list class. So we want it to be limited to this to-do list class. We can just say, okay, come down here and say this should accept list of to do, to accept list of to do. So doing this, we've limited this method to only accept our to-do list class. We've limited it to only accept our to-do list class, but I would like to make use of generics also to also explain what generics means. I don't think I've actually mentioned any generics since we started this course. So I would like to also explain what generics is to us. So doing this, we've limited this method and this class to only accept to-do list data. So we can't use it for any other thing apart from this to-do list class. But I would like to make it a generic class or a generic method. So we can even though we will create another object called maybe car, another object called person, another object called school, another object called anything, we can still make use of this method. So this method will not be limited to to-do list only. We can make use of it. It can be a reusable method in another place. Let's say we want to create another application for people or for schools. We don't have to rewrite this method. We just have to pass in the object we want to write to this and it will write it instead of limiting it to do what, to only accept to-do list. So I'll make it a generic class. So generic means it is a reusable, it is a generic, can accept any object. Generic means it can accept any object, so you can pass in any object into it. You understand? It's not like it is limited to one particular class. It can accept any object you create. It can accept any entity you create. Once you make a class or a method generic, obviously, if you create something like a person object, it will accept it. If you create another object called um, school, it will accept it. Another object called car, and you pass in it. This T will now turn to what, to that particular class you are passing into it. So you will see it when we start, when we are making use of it. So obviously I will now say T because this is a generic type. So any method I pass into it, it will convert it and make use of it. So T and say I'll just say, should I say objects? Let me name it object though. So and also I'll say string. So we'll be accepting the object we want to write to JSON, this particular object we want to write to JSON, and also we'll be accepting the file path. So the file path. So the file path is where this JSON file is located. The path to read from this JSON, the path where this JSON file is located. We will see what I mean by that when we move on. So obviously, let's make use of try catch. We've actually talked about what try catch is. So let's just make use of try catch. So it will be cool. So exception, I'll just catch a general exception, basically any exception that can occur. So yeah. So now what I need to do now is I need to obviously serialize this object we are getting. So this object, it will come as an object, as a class. So I need to serialize it into a string. into a string format. Imagine getting this guy. This guy is an object, so the data will come as an object. So I will have to now do what? Convert it or serialize it into a string. That's what I'll be doing now. So I'll say object string, or whatever name you want to call it. So I'll say I'll make use of JSON serializer. So JSON serializer, which is system text dot. You can see it falls under the namespace system text dot JSON. So I'll be making use of the system text dot JSON and say serialize. So I'll be serializing this object. You can see. So I'll just be serializing this object. And also, let me just say, let me turn the JSON serialize option to write intended true. Let me just do that. So let me just say, and JSON serializer option, sorry. I will just say write it's indented, sorry, to true. So yeah, so after doing this, I will then do what? Do file dot write all text. So obviously we've serialized this object, this data, this object, this entity. We have serialized it into a string. The next thing we need to do is now write this string we've serialized as JSON into what? You can see write all text. So all text, write it into this file. This file part is where this JSON file is located. You'll see how we will get the file part, and I'll explain how to get the file part. So this file part is where the JSON is located. This JSON data is located. So write all text from this particular string, this string we've serialized, write it into this file path. You can see file path, create a new file, write the specific string to the file, and then close the file if the target file already exists. You can see. So it will write it, whatever thing we've serialized inside this string, it will write it into this file and then close it. So that is what this method will be doing. You can see that's just basically what our write to JSON method will be doing. And then let's say I want to say CW and then CW and then say something like error occurred while writing to JSON. So let me just do that. Error occurred while writing to JSON. So obviously this is our write method and this is what it will be doing. You can see it's a very simple method. It accepts the object we want to write, the file path where the file is, the location to where the file is, or the path to where the file is located. The path to where the file is located. Let me pull it out. The path to where the file is located, and also we will now serialize the object. Serialize the object into a JSON string. Serialize the object into a string, and then we name the string object string. So we serialize the object into a string, and then we write the string we've serialized into the path, into the file. So then next we create the read from JSON. So we create the read from JSON. So basically, read from JSON, it will not be a void method. It will not be a void method. So what we want to read from JSON, this JSON is like us getting data from database. Whenever we are getting data from database, we are getting it as a collection of data. It will be a list, like a collection of data, not just one single. If you want, we can actually write a method to get one single data. In repository, following the repository, but you can have a get async, get all async, all those methods basically. But obviously, our read from JSON will be fetching list of data. So I'll just make the return type list. Don't worry, when we get to database context, you understand more of what I just said earlier. So I don't want to confuse us. So don't get things mixed up. Let's take it step by step. So I'll be getting lists. I'll be fetching all the records I've saved into this JSON. So obviously they'll be coming back as a list. It's not just one item. Even though it is one item, I can still get it back as a list, and then it will have just one item inside it. But the return type will be list because I want to get it back as a list. So the return type of the method will be list, obviously. So since I'm making use of a generic method, I want to create a generic method. So list of whatever entity I pass into the method is what I want to get. So obviously I might want to get read from car JSON and not to-do list JSON, or school JSON and not to-do list JSON. So whatever entity I pass into this place is what I want to read from. Is what I want to get back. So whatever entity I pass here is what I want to get back. So you will see that how that works later. So read from JSON. So read from JSON. Obviously, what this will be collecting is just this file path. We are just reading from the file path and then returning the data back. So file path. So what we are going to do now is let's make use of try catch. So I'll just say error writing to JSON. Error occurred while reading. Sorry, reading from. So obviously it will be from JSON. So yeah, what we are going to do here now is what. So we have to read all text. No, here we are doing what file.write all text, and it's a void method. It's not returning anything. It's just helping us write. We are not getting anything back. But from read now, we have to read all text, and then it will send it back to us as a string. So I will say object string is equals to file dot we are reading. So okay, yeah, read all text. Obviously we are reading, so it will read and then give it to us back as a string. Remember, before we serialize, before we write it, before we write all the text, we serialize it as a string. You can see JSON serializer. We serialize the object to a string and then we write it to the JSON. Now same thing is what same format is what we will follow here. So we want to get back, we will get it back as a string and now deserialize it. So the write to JSON is what serializing, but read will be what deserializing. So we then deserialize. So now we've read the JSON. So the next thing now is to check if it is not null, because obviously we can't deserialize a null value. It will throw an exception, to give us an exception. So we have to first do what if this not file part, if this object string, if it is null, if it is equals to null, just what return new list of the objects, new list of the particular objects. Just return the new list of the object. So if it is null, if we do not do this, if this object string is null, it will throw a null exception, because we are trying to deserialize. We will not be trying to deserialize a null value, which is not supposed to be. So immediately we see that this object string is not, just return the new list of that object, return the new list of the object, and then you can take it up from there. So now we can say result is equals to, now this here is where we will now be deserializing the object string into what, into the entity back. So you will now say JSON dot what's this, JSON serializer, dot, then we deserialize, dot, we then deserialize. I don't want IntelliSense, come on. So then we deserialize. So once we deserialize, for us to deserialize, I mean, we have to deserialize into, no, don't forget, we are getting it back as a list of that entity. We are reading from Json and getting the data back as a list of that particular entity. So we deserialize into what? Into list of the type, list of that type. You can see we deserialize it back as the list of that type, and then we pass in the string we want to deserialize. You can see the string we want to deserialize, we pass it here, and then we end it with a semicolon. So you can see, so here when we are writing, we first serialize. Serialize means converting an object into a string. That's what serialize means. Serialization means you are converting an object into what? Into a string, right? Then deserializing means you are deserializing a string back to an object. Deserializing means you are deserializing a string back to an object. So that's what we are doing basically. You can see we deserialize the object string back into what? Into the list of the type, the list of that particular type we are passing. So then obviously when this guy, if there is any exception thrown that we might not be able to read from this, just return this new list of the type, then we are good to go. So yeah, so here you can see we are still getting, you just have to be careful. You can see not all code path return value. So after getting the result, we have to return the result. You can say return results. You can do this, or you do this, or you just return directly instead of first, and just return directly. It's still, what's this? Okay, so you can return directly. You can see is either you return that, or and you can also make use of non forgiving sign. This sign, it's a non forgiving sign. You can see if, yeah, so this is saying represent a strongly typed list of blah 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 blah, possible null reference return. You can see possible null reference return. So if you want to say, okay, we don't want this to yarn at us, we don't want this to give us one, just you can just make use of null forgiving sign. This sign is a null forgiving sign. Okay, we say, okay, we know it might return null, but just let it go. So that's what that means, null forgiving sign. Same thing here, null forgiving sign. No, this cannot apply on, no, okay, yeah, this is, no, yeah, this is saying unnecessary assignment of value. This, it is never used. So that's what this is saying. So I can say, for this to stop giving us this one, I can just say make use of this. Pause this. Yeah, so I can just make use of this, and this should stop giving us. You can see this, that one is giving us warning because we've not actually make use of the variable. So that's what that one is saying. But obviously that's, yeah, same thing goes here. If you want to do the same thing, just bring it down here. So this is all we need for in the JSON helper method or JSON helper class. This is where to write to JSON, and this is where to read from JSON. So this is all what we need. So now let's now make use of these two methods we've created inside our to-do list method. So now we'll be making use of it from in two different places, obviously, in the add method, and also, yeah, in different places, in the add method, in the view method, in the edit. Obviously we're making use of it in every in all the places. So what we just need to do is I'll just create so for it to be more okay, I want to create a central method that can just basically give us the okay, let's do this. Let's do this first. So let me just do this first. So here is the particular place where we are adding. Let's first go through the long routes and see. So here is the place where we are adding, right? Here is the place where we are adding. Yeah, before I forget. So in okay, let me just continue. So I'll show us two different way we can write and read into a JSON file. So the first is we have absolute parts and we have relative parts. So absolute parts and relative parts is not really difficult. So it's just the difference is just let me just start with this. So I would say so I would say let me just say string. I'm looking at the way I don't want to be duplicating. I don't want duplication of code, but let's just do that first. Trying to look at a way to actually current directory. Or let me start with the absolute part. So I'll just say file parts. So let me start with the absolute parts. So make use of absolute parts. Now absolute parts is you just come down here, you copy this, go and right click on this JSON file, right click on this JSON file, you see copy full parts, then you come down here and say paste here. So you can see. So this is what this is absolute part. This is what absolute part means. This is what absolute part means. You can see absolute part. So this is what absolute part means. You can see. So absolute part means we are actually copying the part. We are not getting the part. Like we are not writing code to actually get the part. So relative part means we will use lines of code to actually get the part of where the JSON is located. But absolute part means we just come down here, copy the part directly and paste it here. So you can see it's located in user, HP, desktop, train check tutorial, and then that is where the JSON file is located. That's absolute part. So let's just make use of this absolute part first before we now go back to making use of relative parts. So then what do we need to do? So for us to be able to add, so we are inside the add method, obviously. For us to be able to add into this to-do list now, for us to be able to add to this to-do list, what do we need to do? We now need to do what? First, try to get, you can see, get for all to do, or let me just say, let me say, to do JSON. JSON DB. Let me just put it like that. Let me just put it like, because we are trying to get the content inside this JSON. So I'll just say to do JSON DB. That name. Still good. So let me just put it like that. So then I will now do what? I will now call the JSON helper. Yeah. So now we have a JSON helper class where we declare all the method, where we wrote all the method. Then we can now come here and say JSON helper dot read from JSON. So yeah, I know we want to write to JSON, but we need to do what? We need to first get the JSON we want to write to, because obviously it is so we have to first get the JSON we want to write to. So you know it is a generic, and see it's a generic type. It's a generic type. So whatever we pass here is what it will resolve the T as inside this place. So whatever we pass inside here is what it will resolve the T as in this type here. So let's do it. So we now pass in the list. Sorry, we pass in the to-do list. You can see we pass in the to-do list. Then We now say read from JSON. Then we pass in the file path. Read from JSON. Then we pass in the file path. You can see. So if you open on this, you can see it has resolved it down as what? As list of to-do lists. You can see list of to-do lists. So if I say let me show us another thing. Let me just quickly create another class here called car. Just want to show us car. Obviously, I don't need to put anything down there. I just want to show us something. So if we do this now, you say all cars or cars anyhow, and then I do this. I resolve it as what? I pass in the object. I pass in the object as what? As car. You can see it's showing list of cars. So that's why I said if you have limited this object, this right to JSON, if you have passed in the to-do list class directly, you will have limited it to what? To only accept that type. But since we have made it a generic type, you can actually make use of it for any entity or any class or any object you want to make use of it for. So you can see I pass in a to-do list class, it accepts it, it resolves it back as list of to-do. I pass in a car class, it accepts it and pass and resolve it back as what? As list of cars. So that is the power of generics, and that is the advantage of creating the generics. It will allow you to be able to reuse the method for any other thing you want to reuse it for. So that is that for that. So obviously I don't need the car class I created. I just want to use it to show us something. So here now we have the list of to do. You can see we have the list of what? List of to do, which is basically what we are still having here. So the static list we created here is what? Is a list of to do, right? And then the read from JSON and the read from JSON class we created is still what? Is list of to do. So obviously instead of doing this, I can now say dot add and then I pass in the to do. You can see. So instead of making use of the static list, we just make use of this. You can see. So we can comment this out, right? You can just comment that out and then we are good to go. So if we stop, if you can also comment this out, but I won't comment it out now until I finish replacing it with the JSON stuff. So now we can see we can write to this JSON. Now this JSON is empty, right? So this JSON is empty. So this is just it. We've added the to do we are creating at that particular time here. The to do we are creating at this particular time here, we've added it towards to the list we read from to this list. Now we now need to write to JSON. For us to be able to write to JSON, we now need to do what? If you did not write this to JSON, it will not save, because what this read from is doing is just what? It's just doing what? You are reading the part where the JSON file is located and then doing what? Trying to, if the data already exists, it will do what? It will deserialize the data for us. But don't forget, at this particular time where the JSON is empty here, when the JSON is empty here, if you try to make use of this read from JSON, it will do what? It will return an empty list for us. So that is what we are trying to do here. Even though the JSON file is empty, just return it as a new list and then we can add the data and then write it to the JSON back. So that is what we are doing. So we just read from it. At this particular time, the JSON to do JSON DB, which is the list of JSON, will be what? It will be empty, right? It will be empty, and then we can now add the JSON to it. So we can now say JSON helper, and then So here we are passing the to do as a single entity, but here we're passing it as a list because obviously this read um sorry, this write to JSON, we should pass in a list there because when we get the data back from here, it is what we are getting it as a what, as a list. We are getting it as a list. So we are then writing the list to the what, to the JSON. We are writing all the lists back to the JSON because okay, at that point, let's say there are data that already exist there, like two data. We've gotten the existing ones, we add to it, and then we pass in the full list back to save it back to the JSON. So that is what, so you have to pass it as what, as a list. So and then we say dot write to JSON, and then we pass in two values. You can see this write to JSON is actually expected. You can see. So power of generics. Imagine we just make this guy. Imagine we make this guy just single. Where is it? Just single to-do list class. To-do list class. We will not be able to do what? We will not be able to pass in list here. List of to-do list here. So generics means you can see the power of generics. Now we are able to pass in a list. You can pass in a single object. You can pass in a list. Pass in a single object of any type. So we pass in this guy and also the file path. Then we are good to go. Then it will write the file to JSON for us. So if we launch this, so yeah, it's the first launch. We've added a bunch of code to the code base. So it has to actually take time before it loads. So let's just see how it goes. It's building. Yeah, so that's built. So now we can say add to do title testing JSON. Or let me say file IO, then testing JSON, then due date 0103 2025, priority level I. Yeah, let's set it to I, and completed status, let's say yes. You can see to do has been added successfully. To do has been added successfully. So if we come down here, let's go to our to-do list JSON, to-do list JSON now to see if it actually added the file to the JSON, or if it actually added data to the JSON. So let's see. You can see our data. You can see our data now. We have ID1, title, file IO, description, testing JSON, due date, this, priority level 1. Like I said in the previous video, when we are building the console application, I said enum is represented as what? As integer in DB. You can see it represents it as what? As integer. Enum is being represented as what? As integer. That's why I showed us this guy. We set it to start from 1. You can see we set it to start from 1. This is interesting. You can see 1. You can see as when we set it to start from 0, you'll see 0 here as I. So this 1 represents what? It represents I. 2 represents medium, and you can see also. I'll do that. So you see, if I stop this application now, if I stop this, we will still have our data here. You can see I've stopped it. When we are making use of list as in memory, once we stop the application, all the data are gone. But now we are making use of JSON, our data is still secure. Even though we close this application and open it back, our data will still be inside the JSON. So let's add another one. Add JSON, add data. So I'll say title is works fine. Works fine. And description is Json works fine. So Json works fine. Works fine. The English, well, manage it. Enter due dates. I'll say 21/03 2025. Priority level, I'll say medium. I will say yes. You can see. If I close this guy, I can see our JSON. You can see. Yeah, so another thing we now need to take care of here, you can see the ID is still one and what and one, which is not supposed to be. And here is where the issue is. You can see our ID is still one. You can see one here, you can see one here, which is not supposed to be. This is where the issue is actually. This place, you can see we are reading from this particular place. You can see. So for us to, we are still reading from this list of to do, which has no data. Obviously, there's no data there, so it will keep on setting the ID as one. To keep on setting the ID as one. So for us to be able to override that, this is just what we need to do. So that is why I said, let me just put this guy at the top to make it to make it. So I will say static. So I'll just make it static. So I'll put it at the top here, absolute part. So it will be accessible for any method I want to ask that want to make use of it. So I'll just put it there. So yeah. So you can see the file part, it will be accessible for everybody. So you can see it's already accessible for everybody here. So for me to be able to get this now, I'll just say I really wanted to make this. So let's just see. I don't want the video to be too long, creating different method. So I'll just do is this. So I'll say I already gotten this, right? So I can say, can I make use of this directly? So let's see how this works. Let me make use of the last default directly on this guy. Let's see. Yeah, so let's see. So I'll say last item, and then this will be done. So yeah, so you can see. So I'll be deleting all this data in this guy, and then starting. Let's see if it will work, if our code will not break. So you can see error occur while reading from Json, obviously, because let's launch it and we click on add. So that particular place where the error is coming from is this where is it, this place, this particular place. We are trying to read from data that does not exist, you can see, and we are trying to get. So it's not, the issue is not trying to read, but we are trying to access the last data inside it, which it does not exist. You are trying to read and now trying to get the last data inside it. At that particular time, the data does not exist, and we are now still trying to access the data that does not exist. So, and that is the beauty of try catch. You can see our application did not break. Our application did not break. It just tells us error occurred while reading from Json. Then we can still continue. File IO. Our application did not break. Assuming we did not put the read, the try catch. Assuming we did not put the try catch, it will have been an issue. Application will have break, and then we start the application again. So since there is a try catch, to just try it, return the error, and then return the error, telling us okay, there was an error reading from JSON, and then return the new list of data for us. So that's the beauty of try catch. the application did not stop. So that is that for that. File.io exception, sorry, description, I mean, uh, reading from Json, due date 20 01/01 2025, priority I, yes. So you can see, so I'll add another data. So let's see, it's add successfully. I'll add another data, read Json, working 01/01/2025, medium. I'll just say, let me just put no, I just want us to see. So now we've closed that. Let me close this second one. So we've closed that. If you come down here, you can see it works fine. You can see the first one is I, while the second one is medium. That's why you have two here. Priority level as 2, medium. Priority level as I1. So you can see the ID is now counting perfectly. 1, 2. Even though at the time we are trying to read from the JSON, there was an error occurred, right? Because we are trying to access data that does not exist. But our try catch saved us and then tell us the error that occurred. Oh, at this particular point, there was an error reading from the JSON, but you are good to go. We handled the error gracefully, and then we've returned you a new list. Just continue with what you are doing. That's just that for that. So you can see everything works perfectly. So we have our data here. So now it's now time for us to read and display the data from JSON. So here now our where is it? Where is it? So view to-do list. So let me make use of the view to. So now, before we are using the static um the static list. So now I will not be making use of the static list again. I'll be making use of this guy. So I'll be making use of this guy. So what I will just do first is I'll just do this, and then I will change it to this. Then we are good to go. That's just the thing I need to do. Just change it to read from these 5 parts, and then we are good to go. Then also I will do the same thing here. So not reading from that guy, and also obviously change it to this guy. So everything, change it to come from this to do JSON DB. So I change it here, and then we are good to go. So if I launch this, and then we want to click on view 4, you can see file IO, reading from JSON, priority I, completed yes, medium. You can see working. Everything seems to work perfectly. You can see, which is from our to-do list JSON. If I delete any data from here now, so let me close this guy. So if I delete any data from here, I just want to manually remove it though. We will still write a delete endpoint to delete it. So that's endpoint. Sorry, I'll still edit the delete method to actually delete it. So if I click on view here, you can see we just have one item because I've removed the other item from the JSON file. You can see. So everything works fine. Everything works perfectly. The other thing we need to do here is what? So we've done add, we've done view. It remains edit and delete. So obviously for the edit, where is edit? Sorry. So edit, this is the edit. What we need to do is here now we are doing what? We are saying so this is where we need to adjust it. This is where we actually need to adjust it. So what we just need to do is this, to do JSON. you can see to do JSON, to do JSON DB. So here we are now doing what we can now say after we've gotten this. We can now say var to do exist. Now say to do exist is equals to, then copy this and then change it to what, to do DB, to do JSON DB, and then remove this guy. So we are good to go. Just change it to what, to read from the JSON file. We read from the JSON file. After changing it to read from the JSON file, what do we do next? We just come down here and did what, and then we check if the item exists inside this JSON file we just read from, and then we are good to go. So that's just what we did. We changed this to read from the JSON file, and then check if the item exists inside this JSON file we just read from, and then we are good to go. So that's what we did. So if we launch this, I just want us to take it step by step, step by step. Let's view first. We have file IO, right? And we have reading from JSON. So I will change this file IO to maybe reading from file. I'll just change it to file. No, I'll just change this file IO to file and every other data. So edit to edit. So if we type 3, you see to do not found. I intentionally did that. 4 to do not found, 2 to do not found. But once we type 1, you can see asks us to enter the new title. So the to do, it's actually find the to do. So we have to enter the new title. So which will be file. So I'll just say reading from file instead of reading from JSON. Then I will say 0101 2025. I will say let me just put it as I, and I will say yes. So if you click on view, so you can see to do has been updated successfully. So if you click on view, then we have done what? Oh, sorry, my bad. We actually read from this, but we did not save this back. So we read from this. So what we need to do now is come down here. Yeah, so before we are making use of list, and list does not really need us to save back, because at the point of when you are editing, it is already saving the value inside the list immediately, because list is an in-memory. So once we are assigning a new value to it, it is already doing what? It is already saving it. It is already saving it. But now we are using JSON, so we have to update the JSON back. So what we need to do now is to do exist, here. So once we assign this back, we have to save it back to what? To the JSON file. So I'll just come down here. So after we've actually saved, after we've so I'll just say so this might actually, so no, that's not what we have to do. So what we just have to do is come down here. Where is it? This is what we have to do. This is what we have to do. This is what we have to do. Yeah, just come down here and write it back to JSON. So this is what we'll do. Where is it? Edit. Yeah. So after we've gotten the to do, we want to edit, and then we've edited it. We just come down here to where we are done editing. So I think this place, where is it? This place is where we are done editing, and we do this. We just write it. Just do this. Write to what? Write to JSON. You can see. So we write the list back to JSON. So at this point, we've gotten the list. We've gotten the data as a list that we want to, all the data we have in the JSON file. We've gotten it as a list, and then we already fetch what? We fetch the item we want to edit. We fetch the item we want to what? We want to edit, which is what? To do, which is this to do exist. We fetch it. We assign a new value to it. we assign a new value to it, we assign a new value to it, we assign a new value to it, we assign a new value to it. Then we do what? We write the JSON back. We write the JSON data back. Write the JSON DB back to what? To the JSON file. So let's see if this will work. Let's see if this will work. So we have, let me see the data we have file IO reading from JSON. So edit ID1 file reading from file 0101 sorry 01 2025 I yes. So let's see 4 to view. What did I press? 4. Yeah, then we are good to go. You can see it has edited, we have edited it successfully. So you can see file, reading from file, this, we've edited it successfully. So what we did is just, before when we are making use of list as in memory, we just, once we assign a new value to it, it has override the existing one there. But here we are saving to JSON. So after it has override it, we now have to now pass in the JSON to do JSON DB back to save it inside the JSON. That okay, we've actually edited this information, help us update it back in this particular data, in this particular JSON. So that is what we are doing. So let me launch it again. Let me add new data, title, let me just say cooking rice 0201 0105 2025 medium. Yes. So we click on 4, then you can see cook. So I'll change this cook to what? To read. I'll change this cook to read. So 2, cook read, right? So the ID is what? 2. Then I'll change it to read. Reading book 0601 0701 2025. Sorry, made a mistake. 0107. This backward slash should not be there. That's the mistake. Let me just change this. I and then no. So if we click on view, you can see we've changed this cook to what? To read. Reading book I. So that is how we can actually read from JSON and write to a JSON because of the file inputs and outputs in C#. Writing and reading to this. So yeah, one more thing, delete. We are yet to do delete. So for us to be able to delete, what we just need to do is, here is delete. So let me just copy this guy. So delete basically is just same thing. We come down here. Let me copy this too. I think that will actually help. So copy this too. I don't have to rewrite. So just come down here and I remove this. So that's just it. We read from the JSON and then we find the data with the particular ID. We find the data with the particular ID and then we do what? We remove it. So you can see. So instead of doing to-do list db dot remove, it will now be to do JSON db dot remove, and then I remove this. And after removing it, I now need to do what? I need to save it back, to write it back. Don't forget, once you delete, you have to write it back. Where is it? Remove, and then you write it back. You write it back to the JSON. So that's that for that. Write it back to the JSON. So let's see how it goes. So we have, so we have 2 datas. I'll delete the second one with the ID 2. So 3. ID to delete 2. you can see to do has been deleted successfully. And if I view, the to-do list is gone in the table. So that is that. The to-do is gone in the table, I mean. So that is that for that. You can see if I remove this last one, 3, delete 1, you can see. So if you come back to here, there is no more data there. No more data. No more data. So I'll do it one by one. I'll start from the beginning. So I will add a data 1. I'll add reading 01/01/2025. Yes. So if I do this, you can see our data has appeared, right? I will add another one again. So I'm supposed to remove this. I will add another one again, which is 1. So I want to be seeing this guy here. Add 1. So I will say cooking rice 01/01/2025. Medium, no. So if I come down here, you can see the second one has been added. Right now, I will edit this first one. You can see this first one is just reading. I'll edit it to file and file IO. So like I did. So I'll edit this very first one. So if I click on edit 2, I want us to be seeing the data at the background. That's why I'm doing this. So 2, edit. So I'll edit the ID 1. The one with ID 1. New title. I want to say file IO 02/01/2025. Medium. So this will change. So yes, let me just type yes or no. So this will change to false. This will change to 2. This will change. This also will change. So this reading will change to file IO, and this title will also change to file. So that's what will happen. So you can see. The beauty of this. So that is that for that. We've edited it. So now let's do what? Let's delete 1. We've edited it and you see we edited it successfully. So let's edit the second one to read too. So edit. So ID 2, reading book 01/01/2025. Yes, so this will change to read. This title will change to read. This cook will change to read. This cooking rice will change to reading book. This will not change. It's still the same due date. Priority level will change to 1, and completed will change to true. You can see how it's changing. So that is that for that. Now let's delete. So let's view first, so you can see same thing with what we have here. You can see it's the same thing with what we have inside the JSON file. You can see same thing with what we have inside. So now let's delete 3. So yeah, before we delete, let me stop the application. So let's now launch back again. So now let's delete 3 to delete. So which one are we deleting first? Let's delete the 2 first. So you can see if you click on this, it's gone. Same thing, you come back here and then you click on 3 to delete and you click on ID 1. Then deleted all the data. So that is that on file IO, writing to JSON and reading from JSON. Oh, before I forget, I said I will show us how to use relative path, and I will explain relative path and absolute path. So I only showed us absolute path. I just remembered now. So the other part now is how to use a relative path. Relative path. So absolute path is, I said you just come down here and then you copy the path. So you already have the path. So, but relative path is you using code, using lines of code to actually get your path. So actually get so I will come down here and show us how to get the relative path. So before this guy, I'll just show us how relative path works. So mm, so to get the relative path, you have to first see do string current directory. So I'll just say current directory, right? So current directory means the present directory we are, the present location we are in the application. So I'll just say directory dot get current directory. Current directory means, okay, what is the directory? What's the part of this particular place I am? What's the current? What's the current directory? What's the location I am presently in this code? That's just what it means. So you can see expose static method. No. That's not to say. Okay, get the current working directory of the application. Get the current working directory of the application. So it's get the current working directory we have in the application presently. So that's that for that. Also, let's launch this and see what we will get. Just want to show us step by step on how to get the relative path, how to mix of relative paths. So let's launch this on debug. Let me close this. Yeah, so do this. So see where we are. You can see we are in user HP desktop train check bin debug.net 8. So if you check what we have here, you can see we are in user this one, and our stops here and then followed by the JSON, the location and the JSON file itself. So train check tutorial. But the difference between this one here is that after the main project location, we are now inside the bin file, the debug file, and this. So now we now have to escape out of the .NET 8 file or .NET 8 folder, escape out of the debug folder, escape out of the bin folder, and then we should be inside the string check tutorial folder. We want to escape out of these three folders, and then we should now be inside the string check tutorial folder. So for us to do that, we can now say, let me remove this. For us to do that, we can now say project path. So we want to get the project path. This is the current directory. It's getting the current directory where we're inside the debug bin. So now I want to get the project path. So I'll just say project path. Project path now equals to project path. So I'll say is equals to path dot get full path So now I want to get the full path. So what I want to do is I want to get the project path. For me to get the project path, I have to escape out of those three folders I mentioned earlier. I have to escape out of those three folders for me to get the project path. So now I will now do what? Path dot combine. So I will now make use of, I will pass in this current directory, and then I will pass in this guy. So you now see what I want to combine the path. So this is the current directory. I want to get the project path. So I want to escape three folders from the current directory to get the project path. So I will now make use of this get full path, combine this, and then make use of the verbatic string literals. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. So verbatic, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. So this is what the verbatic string literals is. So what this does is what it will help me escape out of. So you can say I specify three different type of it. So assuming I just want to escape out of two folders, I'll just specify two. I'll specify just two. So escape out, what it means is escape out of the last three folders. Escape out of the last three folders. That's what this verbatic string literal means. So escape out of the last three folders. So if you let me just put this on debug and see what this will do. So this is the current directory where we have the bin, debug, and .NET 8.0 folders that I want to escape out of. And then if we do this, you can see we've actually escaped out of it. So you can see before we have the bin, debug, .NET 8, but now we've escaped out of it, making use of these literals, this verbatic string literals. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's the name is called. Yeah, so we've escaped out of it, and then now we have the project part. The project part means the location of this project. Have the project part. Now the next thing is now to concatenate or to combine it with the JSON folder name. Concatenate it with the JSON or combine it with the JSON folder name. Anyhow you want to call it. So I'll now have string file paths, which is these paths that we have in here. These file paths. So we want to get something like this. So let me copy it. Let me just want to show us as an example. So let me bring it down here. Basically, I just want us to see. Yeah. So file paths is equals to, I will now say paths dot combine. So help me combine it together. So that's what this means. So combine project paths together with what? With this guy. Let me just copy. I just want to copy it. Combine it together with this guy. Then it will now give me something like this. It will give me this. It will give me this. To give me this exact thing. It will give me this exact part here. This exact part here. That's what it will give me. So now let me run it on debug. You can see this, this, this. So you can see the file parts. You can see CC, user, HP, train check, tutorial, and then followed by what? Followed by the to-do list JSON. Same thing. So now we already have the file path that we want to use. So this is how we make use of a relative path, and this is how we make use of. So like I said, this is relative, how to get the relative path, and why this is what the absolute path. You can see the absolute path. This is the absolute path. Why this is the relative path. This is how to get the relative path, and this is how to get. So in your own situation, you might not have to escape. Depends. Sometimes it just bring it out without get you the current directory without it being in the bin folder, debug folder. So if your own current directory does not have that, you don't have to escape this. But once your current directory have is you are inside the bin debug, you have to mix up this verbatic string literals to escape out of it. So basically, that's just how to get your relative path. So now to make use of this in our code, so let me just take this guy out. So you might not be able to use it on this place, which obviously it won't work. You can see. So, but you can see. But let's say you want to make it a static, and a static. And then we already have a file path here, so obviously. So let's see relative path. So let's see. add, just want to add a different thing. 2025. I Yes. So we come down here, you can see everything we added. So that is how to make use of relative parts and an absolute part. So I just take it down to program class so that it will be easy for us to debug and see what I'm doing before bringing it back to this particular place. So you can see we already get we get the current directory, get the project directory, get the file path, and then we are good to go. So that is absolute. That's how to make use of absolute parts and relative parts. So if you launch this and then we view, click on view, you can see a that we just added, which we can also delete. And then if you view, there is no data to view. So that is that for that. So that's how to make use of the absolute and relative part. So guys, um thank you for watching. I believe, or if there's any question or anything you do not understand, kindly drop them in the comment section. So I'll attend to each and every question. I promise to attend to each and every question. So that's all for file IO, file input, output, writing to JSON and reading from JSON. So that is all about it. So now, if there's any question or anything you don't understand, kindly drop them in the comment section. I promise to attend to each and every question. Don't forget to subscribe to the Check YouTube channel if you have not. Don't forget to turn on the notification icon. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to comment. And don't forget to share. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. See you guys in the next video. Thank you.